Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everything in between. Welcome back to another edition of the World Online Racing League. And tonight, we're here for the Tier 2 round around Mexico. I'm not alone tonight, even though the webcam would suggest I am. I'm here with LCR Leopard. It certainly should be, especially considering some of the action that we've had over the last couple of races around here. Obviously, this isn't the first of the week. It's the last day of the console action that we're going to get around Mexico. And, well, there's a notable absence here tonight.
I can't remember who it was. Basically, one of the main title contenders in Qatar wasn't here, and in the end, got away with it because the main title contenders, or the other title contenders, didn't really gain big. Anyway, it's Mexico now. The first laps of qualifying are underway. Alpha Gully continuing the trend of the Kick Albers, putting it onto the front rows of the grid, so he'll be one to watch out for in this qualifying session. And of course, Epic Veil is a man on a mission right now. He's the man to look out for. Spicer, he could do with a good result. He's been the man out of form in this tile fight, and well, if he can put it onto pole position on the front two rows of the grid, that's going to go a long way into reigniting his tile charge, especially with Tech Brawl not here.
Yeah, so the way the championship is set up at the moment, Tech Brawl is first with 127 points. Spicer finds himself in second on 104, and Epic Veil has 102. And that means that Spicer is 23 points behind Tech Brawl. Epic Veil is 25 points behind our championship leader. However, tonight, if one of them was to win, that would... Well, if Spicer was to win, he would take the championship lead. If Veil was to win, he would draw level with Tech Brawl, actually completely identical, because the next metric they would use is wins.
Countback would be race wins.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be level. So it'd be second places, which Epic Veil has.
So yeah, Epic Veil would be your championship leader if he was to take victory tonight. But that's the equation we've got on offer, and it will certainly spice up this Mexican Grand Prix. We've got two drivers who are going to be absolutely desperate to take everything they possibly can out of this race.
Yeah, indeed. I think we've got a nice plot here for this Mexican Grand Prix. Spicer and Epic Veil, well, also with Tech Brawl not here, championship leader Tech Brawl not here, and he had a healthy advantage. Sure, an advantage that could have been overhauled, but it's definitely got a big chance of being overhauled with him not being here today. The other two main contenders, obviously, Spicer and Epic Veil, 23 and 25 points respectively. Epic Veil in ridiculous form. Spicer a little bit out of form, but it has been consistent all season. His only race win back in round 1 in Melbourne. I know he's only had 2 other podiums in Interlagos and Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi. But he has been, around the top 5. In fact, he was top 5 every race until last week in Bahrain, where he finished 7th. But he, it's getting to the point where he needs big results if he wants to, be crowned Tier 2 champion. And yeah, with Tech Brawl not here, that is a huge opportunity for the pair of them. The other, I guess, part in all this it's Tekbral's teammate, Alpha Gully. The other Kickstarter, who has been very good in qualifying off late. And, you know, he will play a huge role potentially, or he's got a big job to do, has the sister Kickstarter, in trying to make sure he can, you know, take as many points as he possibly can off Epic Vale and Spicer. If Alpha Gully can get a race victory here today, if he can pick up his first win of the season, it would be, by the way, Tekbral will thank him very much, because it just means he has a bit more of a buffer going into Jeddah and Suzuka.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be... It's going to be a straight shootout for the win, I think, for for the top 3 drivers in the standings at the moment. That's in the qualifying standings, with Spicer and Epic Vale wanting to gain those advantages. Alpha Gully wanting to help his teammate out, hold them up as much as he possibly can, and it'll also help in the constructors title, because I know that there's not really a main focus on that, but Sauber are currently 6 points ahead of Aston Martin. The two Aston Martin drivers, Spicer on pole position, and Daddlepad, who is he's only in P4 in the standings, and he'd probably be fighting for this championship if it wasn't for missing 3 races in the middle of the season. So it's definitely looking like it's going to swing the way of the Aston Martins at the moment, but Alpha Gully will do his best to try and avoid that happening tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Tekbral's replacement, TF10 Nassim, will also try and do his bit in picking up points for Kick Sauber. Meanwhile, just approaching the final sector, Epic Vale got 10th and a half in his back pocket as he approaches the last sector. Goodness me, he's drifting like crazy. Yeah, that lap's gone. That lap's completely gone for Epic Vale and the Haas. He cuts the corner in disgust, and he will enter pit lane. So his second lap has gone. Is anyone else around him on a decent lap? Who's coming to the end of their lap? It looks like we may have a Williams coming up towards the line, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, one of the drivers I don't particularly notice goes P5. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that name. Do you, Codcast?
Oh, the Williams, Manlike, is how I've been saying it. And he hasn't been complaining because I've done Tier 4 quite a few times. He's a regular Tier 4 driver. A few of these guys I recognise from when I've done the lower tiers, so it's good for consistency purposes, because I know vaguely what they're going to do, hopefully. Although, well, with those drivers coming up, the unexpected is to be expected, because they've not really got anything to fight for. Their main tier is the lower ones down. It could provide an interesting dynamic as FIL Phil, either one invalidates his lap on the final corner. That seems to be a reoccurring theme now. More and more drivers are invalidating around the final corner. Spicer, though, putting in the quickest of the lot so far, 113.056, extending his lead at the top and making a statement, because he's now over 4 tenths ahead of Epic Vale in third. So, yeah, I said the Aston Martin was in a good position, was probably in the best position of them all, and he's certainly strengthened it at the moment.
Nalgio up to P3 for Alpine, so Epic Vale, after his second lap has been moved down to P4. Is Bollins on the lap, I believe? No, he's not. He's had to back out. Has the veteran. And yeah, I think that's going to bring to an end our second laps of qualifying. We're interested if the drivers get 3 or 4 laps in. By the looks of it, if 4 laps is definitely possible. Actually, from memory, it's being, Mexo, as you can see, not the quickest. Sorry, not. It's a short lap. There we go. Got my words out eventually. Only 1 minute 13, as you can see, for the most part. So, doing the lap, getting in, getting out. It doesn't take too long, so 4 runs should be quite comfortable for the drivers to accomplish here. And about 7.5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. Spicer looking like the man to beat, which we have not been able to say for a while here in Tier 2. But look, if there's ever a time to refine form and start challenging for wins and podiums, it's now. And he's going about it in the best way possible.
Yeah, and he definitely needs a good result after that. After the last couple of races where he's been off the podium, especially Bahrain, where he finished down in 7th place, didn't pick up as many points as he would have liked. So pole position is a real statement piece from the Aston Martin. And with 7 minutes left in the session, the likelihood is that he's going to get at least one more run. A lot of drivers prefer around here to go for the 2-lap final stint, which involves the first lap being maybe not the quickest in the world, just getting used to it, getting the tyres warmed up, burning as much fuel as you possibly can, and then the final run with minimal fuel to help, especially in that second sector where there's those S's that they've put paid to so many drivers' laps. That second and third sector is really difficult to keep it on the track and, well, keep it in a straight line, essentially. Alex Lamass coming around the final corner. He's managed to keep it in a straight line. He didn't on his first lap, but this lap seems decent. Across the line, 113.6. That slots him in 8th place, ahead of Daddlepad, who, well, the Aston Martin, he'll have been hoping for a result. His team will have been hoping for a result. And, well, he's got 6 minutes left in the session to throw in somewhere. Because I think 9th place is okay. I think with how close this tier is, he would have wanted to be higher. Because at the moment, he's got a 113.6. He's one of 5 drivers with a 113.6. He's only 2 thousandths of Alex Lamass ahead of him. And he's only a 10th off of 5th place. So those minimal gains could give you so much.
Yeah, exactly. Especially around a short circuit, you know, these margins. I remember it was Interlagos when I did Tier 1 earlier this season. It was like half a second covering the entire field. And like, oh, hello, crowding. G'day. The McLaren has just put it onto the head of the second row of the grid, so crowding's getting involved here in Mexico City. Just rudely interrupting me. But still well in from crowding. That, especially on the pad, I believe. So that middle sector's not a friendly one if you're a pad driver. So yeah, that's a brilliant lap, actually, from crowding to put it into 3rd place. But yeah, you know, Mexico, like Interlagos, well, kind of like Interlagos, kind of like not like Interlagos. I mean, it's a short lap, so there's not a whole lot of time to gain, you'd think. But in the way this track is kind of laid out, there is a lot of time on the table. I mean, we can see it. There's, you know, a second separating the entire field at the moment. You know, Spicer had, you know, a couple tenths barring Alpha Gully to the rest of the field. It still does. You know, when you look at the S section, when you look at the final sector, even, you know, the first couple of corners, there's a lot of time to be gained through there. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially come race day, and especially from memory, how the tyres behave around here. I'm not sure what your experience is like on this game in particular, with the tyres around here. You know, how that's going to play a role on how potentially the gaps could spread, potentially. Doubted though with the DRS, actually, come to think of it.
Well, yeah, the DRS is, well, there we go. The 3RT going into 4th place, setting a statement piece for the Mercedes. But, yeah, I think generally on this game, we've seen quite strong pace around Mexico with hard compound tyres. Compared to the mediums, there's not that much of a deficit. And so we'll probably see a lot of drivers doing hard compound tyres in the first stint, switching onto mediums at the end. Because also they can tag along using that DRS that you just mentioned.
Yep.
There is 3 DRS zones around this circuit and 2 of them back onto each other. So if you are under a second behind heading out of the stadium section, you are going to get DRS for the next 2 straights. And it's not only just 2 straights. That first straight is one of the longest, if not the longest, on the calendar. And then you got that second straight. The first one, you can just gain that time. You can gain up to about 8 tenths, depending on your setup in that first straight. So if you're about 8 tenths behind, then you can seal the move in that second straight.
Oh
in
my
that second
gosh.
straight. If you can't do that, then there's another extra little bonus one between Sector 2 and Sector 3, which Alpha Gully will be coming up to right about now. He's not improving on his lap. He's just under half a tenth behind. But he has now improved in the second sector. Almost a tenth up. So he's found about a tenth in that. Oh, he's almost invalidated, actually, heading into the chicane.
Perfection.
Inside the stadium section. Out of the final corner, Alpha Gully is going to put the power down. Can he beat 113.0? Yes, he can. He becomes the first driver into the 112s, 112.990, and Spicer who's on his outlap now, will feel that pressure.
Yeah, we will. Alpha Gully, well, we said Tech Brawl needs Alpha Gully to do a job for him, and he's doing just that. Alpha Gully, the Kick Sabers, both of them, have been really solid in qualifying this season. And, Alpha Gully, again, here in Mexico, no different. One driver we'll have to keep an eye on as he starts his lap will be Epic Vale. This is going to be an interesting one. He's put on pole position the past 2 races. He's down in 5th at the moment. He's got half a second to find. Does the Haas of Epic Vale. So we'll see what he can do this time around as he flies through the first section. He looks a little bit potentially off. Maybe just got a bit of a kick of oversteer or something. Just looked like the rear stepped out ever so slightly. It just cost him a bit of grip. Who's that? Daddlepad's up to P4. So in terms of constructors, Aston Martin having a field day at the moment. I mean, Alpha Gully's having a great day. But, if you're Aston Martin, Spies and Daddlepad up there as well. Good stuff. But yeah, Alpha Gully, first man, and obviously that'll be his session done. So he cannot respond. Spicer down to 10th in Sector 1.
And in the meantime, Epic Vale invalidated on his lap. So the man who was on pole position the last 2 races will not be improving. 6th place is going to be the peak of where he's going to start, unless he's able to take those final 40 seconds and then do one more lap, which we will definitely be watching if he's able to do so. It looks like he's going to be able to do so pretty comfortably, but has he pushed too hard? Because he invalidated it in the middle of Sector 2. Spicer still not improving, but he's got the momentum. Epic Vale actually does retire from the session. He becomes the first retiree and the second one to call his session quits. Spicer now round the final corner. 112.9, no, is not going to be improved upon by the Aston Martin. The highest he's going to get is on the front row. BRT crowding. He's in 3rd place at the moment. He's heading through Sector 2, and he has improved. It's going to be, well, there's yellow flags out in Sector 1. That's because of a Ferrari getting out of the way. Alex Lamas will not be improving on his time either. He will peak at 11th. You're seeing drivers retire left, right, and centre as they feel they're not going to improve on their laps. Crowding is half a 10th up, almost invalidating on the entry to the stadium section. He's pushing so very hard to gain those 2.5 tenths that he needs to get.
Oh, he's
pushed over the line. Crowding. His session is over, and he has not improved. The McLaren, who was looking on course to have the pace for the front row, is not going to have such luck. Predestinato across the line with a 1:13.4. Gio's not going to improve. And Manlike has invalidated. Now, our eyes turn to the Triarty, who's coming through into the final sector. He improved by half a tenth in the first sector, almost a 10th in that final one. In that second one even. So the Triarty coming round the final couple of corners. Is he going to push too hard, just like Crowding did? A little wobble would suggest so, but he's able to keep it on the track, keep that lap valid, and that could be pole position. Not quite. 1:13.366 is somehow 5th place, but that is going to be your final valid lap for this qualifying session. Alpha Gully is going to take pole position.
Yeah, well, again, we've mentioned it a couple times already. We'll mention it again. Tech Brawl, he wanted Alpha Gully to do a job, and, well, he's doing just that. Well, not provisional pole, it is pole position for the Kickstarter, and in fact, I do believe he has finally got his first pole position of the season. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think Max would not believe we were saying that either. Come round 9, it'd take that long for Alpha Gully to pick up his first pole position, because he's been up there all the time. Front 2 rows consistently, at least in the second half of the season, so he's finally got it. Spicer, a welcome return to form for the Aston Martin. And, this is going to be a key race for Spicer. It's going to be key for Epic Vale. Epic Vale down in 6th. He's been the man in form off late. Not just in qualifying, but in the race. But he's down in 6th. He's got a bit of work to do. Crowding Daddlepad and the Triarty, separating Spicer and Epic Vale. Predestinato, Gio, Manlike and Minotaur rounding out the top 10. It's going to be an interesting one. Cockcast.
Definitely. A lot of the grid is bunched up together in those times. So they're pretty much all matched from about, I would say, from about 6th downwards. I could be wrong in that because there's about 2 tenths between so many of the drivers. But yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see, because some of them might just bring out something incredible, and then suddenly the game's completely switched on its head. The race is completely switched on its head. That's something that we're going to have to wait and see as we get into the race session. I'm just going to leave this on. I don't leave it on very often, but just for a little bit of fun, we're going to watch how the drivers try to retire as quickly as possible. Not something that you get to watch in a typical broadcast, but I thought I'd treat us ahead of what is going to be a very exciting WOR console tier 2 race. With Alpha Gully on pole position, he could do his teammate an absolute world of good in the championship. Tech Brawl, who is not here tonight, has a 23-point lead over Spicer in second and a 25-point one over Epic Vale in third. That is the equation. And, well, the drivers are just waiting to be slotted into it. At the moment, with the qualifying positions that they hold, Alpha Gully is on pole position. Spicer finds himself in second, Alpha Gully being the teammate of Tech Brawl, looking to do him a favour. And then you've got Spicer's teammate in fourth and Epic Vale in sixth. Those are your major players for tonight. And, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens as we complete 35 laps around the Mexican Grand Prix. But that was just incredible. It was from fourth to, I believe, 16th it was. It was to 15th. They were all within 3/10 of each other.
Oh boy. And with that straight you mentioned as well, down the main pit straight, I think we're going to see utter pandemonium on multiple occasions down that pit straight. And that's just the pit straight alone, let alone what's going to happen into turns 1, 2, and 3. I get the feeling we're in for a bit of a barnstorm here.
Yeah, I think, well, all the drivers are going to be pushing as hard as they can, obviously, with, well, the ones that have been promoted from different tiers, they've got nothing to lose. They're just going to try and demonstrate as much as they're able to do. The ones at the front, they've got a championship to fight for, whether it's the constructors or the drivers, or if they're just trying to do their teammate a favour, they've got something to fight for. And then those in the middle, you'd think aren't going to fight that hard. However, that's not how it plays out. All the drivers want a great result from this race. They want to be able to have the spoils. So it's not like they're just going to be completely passive, let drivers through when they don't necessarily need to. They are going to fight for this.
Yeah, exactly. Mentally, the kind of, for different drivers, you get a bit of a shift in mentality depending on what your situation is. Drivers like Epic Vale and Spicer here today, whilst they have to go on the offensive, because they're in that position, they have to gain, they have to still have a little bit of caution, or somewhere in the back of their mind, it's like, I can't chuck this down the road, or I can't, get involved in instant pickup damage and lose points, because that's, that makes it worse. So yeah, if you're Epic Vale, if you're Spicer, if Tech Brawl was here, there's that element of caution. Alpha Gully, it'll be interesting because it doesn't really matter in a sense. Sure, I guess if you count constructors, it matters, but for most of these guys, they're just going to want the drivers, and I think Alpha Gully will have more of an eye on the drivers for Tech Brawl's sake. It's not going to really matter if he throws it down the road, trying to do his best if he, to hold off Epic Vale and Spicer. And that's basically just going to go for literally everyone else. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Some might just decide, I'd just rather chill and let it go. But most of them, especially those with points to prove, i.e. those from Tier 3 and Tier 4, those guys in particular, absolutely nothing to lose. And yeah, as I said, I've said it before, if they throw it down the road, or if they pick up damage, it doesn't matter one bit, as far as the bigger picture is concerned. So we are in that kind of phase of the season where different drivers have different mentalities and approaches to the races.
I think so. I'm going to reference it back to Manlike and what he did last night around the Mexico City circuit. He's fighting for a championship down in Tier 4. And, well, I thought at times that even though the race result ended up going his way, that was because of his championship rival having problems, self-inflicted problems, but problems nonetheless. He just didn't throw it in as much as we would have wanted to see. He didn't throw it in as much as he probably would have wanted to see. He was very gently, didn't take too many risks. I don't think we're going to see that man like tonight. I think we're going to see a completely different being. However, if that's anything to go by, then he's just going to stick in and around the midfield. And we don't want 35 laps of the drivers just sticking in and around the midfield. We want them to push. We want them to fight. And, well, yeah, that's, of course, what we're going to be hoping for. Just getting ready for the 5 lights. Talk to me about strategy. What sort of strategies do you think the drivers will be opting for? Will they go for that hard medium? Or do you think they're going to go a little bit more traditional?
Again, I think a lot of it is probably actually going to be tied down to what we've just been talking about, the mentality and risk, risk versus reward. Those that have come up through from Tier 3 and Tier 4, those that don't have any real interest in the title fight might go for something a bit more out of the ordinary. They might chuck a soft on, or they might start on a soft, or they might start on a medium. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what, as far as tire strategy is concerned, I've never seen a race around Mexico in this game, so and I haven't driven at all in this game, so I don't exactly know how the tires are going to react and what's best on that front. I do remember from previous games that 2 stops were viable. I rather get the feeling, especially with how powerful DRS and whatnot is, it's probably just going to be best to hold track position, stick to a 1. But yeah, I mean, who knows? We might see drivers starting on a soft. We might see those starting on a hard. I don't know what the norm will be. I mean, we could probably actually check race director now and see what most are looking at. For me, at least, everyone's on a set of medium compound tires.
Yeah, so I think they're all probably going to go a little bit more conservative, although it did say that some of them are on mediums, so that's somebody who switched to hards. Minotaur switched to hards from 10th place. I'd presume they were all putting their setups on first, making sure they got that right before anything else. But yeah, I think a lot of the drivers are just going to be more traditional. The 2-stop is viable. The 2-stop has worked for drivers previously on this game in various leagues. Including this one, but I think, yeah, it's just we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, safety cars could come into play.
Yeah,
it came into play in Tier 4. I know I keep referencing Tier 4, but it's a good marker because a couple of the drivers, or one of the drivers racing tonight, Manlike, was in that Tier 4 race yesterday. His safety car did come into play very early on, and it meant that those who did move on to those medium tires were able to run on the hards for as long as the stint allowed them to. It did rain at the end, but they would have been able to take them to the end. Safety cars often play a factor in races like these, and it could play a factor tonight. We're just getting ready for the 5 lights. The drivers are finalising their preparations, and we're going to go to the 5 lights for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's lights, and it's action. We are away in Mexico City. Alpha Gully getting a great launch off the line. Bobbitt's making contact with somebody behind that. Could be the front wing off already for the McLaren before they reach turn 1. It's the longest stretch to turn 1 on the calendar. And in it, there is side-by-side between an Aston Martin and a Haas. That is Spicer staying ahead. Epic Vale, Daddlepad, and crowding. There's contact. And down the grid drops Daddlepad, although he seemingly cut the corner to stay in that battle. He's lost momentum, though. I presume illegal overtakes are coming into play, because he had to drop behind the Triarty and crowding, and now he's dropping behind even Bobbitt. So an awful start for one of the Aston Martins, a decent one for the other one, who holds position in 2nd place, but it's side-by-side between crowding and the Triarty now. It's side-by-side behind them with crowding's teammate Bobbitt and Daddlepad. Daddlepad holds on and could be looking to attack RT as they head through the S's now. We could be getting our first side-by-side action through the most difficult part to go side-by-side out of it. All of the drivers seem to come nice and cleanly. Everybody's come through, actually, nice and cleanly. But a crucial point that could become a huge part of this race is that there is a gap of 1.3 seconds between Alpha Gully and Spicer. Bobbits and Epic Veil fighting. Epic Veil's had an awful start. He drops to P8 now. Yeah. And Alpha Gully leads after lap 1.
Yeah, Epic Veil through turns 1, 2, and 3, got caught. He was actually momentarily up to P3 and initially made a great start. Meanwhile, Spicer's just breezed on by Alpha Gully. So Spicer, currently, throw the flag out now. Be very unfair if you did, but if you were to throw the flag out now, would be your current championship leader, which I did not expect to be saying about an hour ago. But here we are. But yeah, Epic Veil just got caught. He got half spun almost through turns 1, 2, and 3. And what was initially an incredible start, actually, from the Haas, turned into a bit of a poor one. And yeah, he's been, kind of scrapping ever since. And yeah, he's down to PA. He had a bit of a lunge at Bobbers in the last sector, but nothing doing for the Haas driver just yet. So Epic Veil from P8 has got a lot of work to do. But the other protagonist in this race, Spicer, he's had a great start. He's up to P1. And him and Alpha Gully might be potentially trying to... In fact, I think they have... Yeah, they have checked out, haven't they? That's 1.6 seconds to Nel Geo, as you did mention earlier. So, Spicer and Alpha Gully, we thought we were going to get a bit of pandemonium. We might, instead, just get a straight-up 1v1 dogfight for victory. As here comes Alpha Gully, he's in the slipstream, he's got the DRS, and yeah, it's just going to be easy as you like, and that's probably how a lot of this race is going to go. Meanwhile, further back, here comes Crowding, here comes the Trey RT on Algio, here comes the McLaren up the inside, into turn 1, job done. And yeah, the McLaren onto the podium, and everyone else, including Epic Veil, just has to slime behind for the time being, and maybe have a go into sector number 2, into turn 4. And yeah, all the McLaren a little bit wide through turn 4, that's going to allow Nel Geo maybe a chance, probably not, too tight, too single file through this section. And yeah, Crowding holds on to P number 3. But yeah, more importantly, the front 2 checking out.
And this is where the DRS could play into the hands of those who want an exciting race. It could play against them, though, because Alpha Gully and Spicer are just going to be able to play DRS chicken for at least the next few laps and just continue to break away, because the leader of that next pack will not have DRS. And with them also fighting, because it's still, as everybody is still within the DRS, they're all going to be fighting over position. Alpha Gully and Spicer can just manage this incredibly well, as I think that noise signified a good move from Bobbits on Epic Veil in the stadium section. Epic Veil looking to come back, as this is the fight for P7. It's not where we thought Epic Veil would be after qualifying. It's not where we thought Bobbits would be at any point of this season. It's 3 wide though, up ahead. The Tree RT to the inside line. He gets through, Crowding gets through, and Gio stays behind in P5. But yeah, this is where the DRS is going to come into play. And, well, for the moment, this is your race order. A man like getting ahead of Predestinato. But at the moment, the race looks thusly. Alpha Gully and Spicer are the top 2. And then the Tree RT, Crowding, Gio, Daddlepad, Bobbits, and Epic Veil are the 6 drivers who look like they're going to be contending at the moment, pace-wise, for that final podium spot.
Yeah, Epic Veil went for a lunge like he did on lap 1 on Bobbits into that hairpin in the last sector into turn 13. And again, just couldn't... I mean, to get the car alongside, but because obviously then Bobbits has the inside, he can't really, finish the move off. And it's just got to be... He's got to be careful. Mexico, from experience, can be a race where you can force it a bit too much. And especially with it being at the back end of a season, that can prove costly. Here comes Spicer once again on Alpha Gully. This is, yeah, as we mentioned a couple laps ago, going to be how a lot of this race plays out. Anything happening further back? No, just single file, saving ERS and probably trying to save a bit of tyre as well. But yeah, Epic Veil just got to be a bit careful. He doesn't go, hello. Daddlepad and El Gio going side by side on the exit of turn 3. They'll have DRS, they'll both have DRS on the up to turn 4. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Into turn 4, the Aston Martin trying to go around the outside. He's deeper on the brakes. He'll have the inside for 5. Good move for the Aston Martin and Daddlepad. They'll the Aston Martin in their constructors fight with Kick Sauber, especially with Spicer now up front. But yeah, if you're Epic Veil, as much as you want to get through this field, you can't, as we've been mentioning, you can't chuck on the road. He's going to use a bit of overtake here and maybe look for a lunge into turn 12. He has the inside line this time. That's going to be crucial. And he's up the inside of that. Can he keep on the road? Bobbers is going to look for a switchback and maybe try and go around the outside of 13, but nothing doing. Epic Vel, good move. Very good move and a key one for the Haas driver. And he's up to P7.
Yeah, and he's going to need to start to make those moves quicker and quicker now. He's made it past Bobberts, and Niall Gio is going to be the next driver on his hit list. Daddlepad almost dropped out of the DRS on that last lap because of the fighting from crowding ahead, and that is going to be where problems are going to begin to lie. Alpha Gully retakes the lead of the race. Crowding retakes the lead of this battle in P3. The Triart is not going to get the DRS, and so the McLaren will surely seal it, although slipstream for the Triart will allow him to stay close. What's happened to Leonardo behind? He's had issues. He's dropped down to P17, P18 now. He's the last runner on the field, and that's unfortunate. He's already picked up a penalty, and that's pretty much his race over. But you can see the gap has stabilized now, 2.7 seconds between Spicer and Crowding. But if anything is going to go wrong, it's more likely to be for those fighting behind. Now it's between 3rd and 10th that have DRS Minotaur just outside. But with the hard compound tyres, they're going to start to switch on in the next few laps. And then the advantage will switch back in that battle to the Mercedes. That is if he's able to fight his way back into the DRS. As we end lap 7 of this Grand Prix, BRT Crowding is now 3.1 seconds behind the top 2.
Yeah, that gap extending, and to be honest, if you're Spicer, it's a brilliant position to be in. If you're Tech Brawl, it's a bit of a nightmare seeing Spicer, you know, with only one car around him at the front, albeit that car being his teammate Alpha Gully. You know, even still, you'd rather they were backed up into the pack and it was just one big train for the win. Here comes Epic Vale in the slipstream of Nel Gear. Is going to look to the inside. He thinks about it. A little bit of contact, maybe a bit of a bump and run. It's turn 4 or 5. He's going to look for a switchback. Nothing doing. Don't send it here. Good. Doesn't, keeps his head screwed on and doesn't go for lunge into turn 6. But yeah, Epic Vale, he thought about it to 4. In the end, Nel Gear had enough on the brakes to keep the Haas at bay for the time being. But yeah. Crowding's gained a little bit, actually. He's got the gap back under 3 seconds. Yeah, it does look like the top 2, especially now they have cleared the DRS and by quite some margin now as well, are going to look to just slowly and surely eke that gap out. Epic Vale's got the inside. He has got the move done. He's tried it on Bobbers a couple of times. It didn't work. He had to settle for turn 12. This time into 13. He has got it working. And he's up to P6. It's that. So he's recovered the positions he lost on lap 1.
Yeah, and that's only the start of the Haas's race. He's going to need to fight further forward. The Triart and Crowding is going to... they're going to be the 2 that are going to continue to fight for that P3 spot. Daddlepad, he's looking closer than he has been over the last few laps. He's now 3/10 behind as opposed to the 9/10 that he was behind before. Alpha Gully retakes the lead of the race. Manlike, in the meantime, gets past Niall Gio. So that's a statement piece from the Williams. And he's now trying to close down. Bobberts has lost another position to Predestinato. And although that's 2.8 seconds behind 8th.
Yeah, something's happened there.
Something must have happened there because Bobberts has dropped. Nassim, something must have happened to him because he was in P10. He's now in the last of the runners in P17. Well, he's pitted, so there must have been damage. I think Phil was in and around there. I'm going to have a double check as to where he qualified. Oh, no, he started in P16. So we've had 2 pitters so far, Phil and Nassim, who they're probably damage limitation pit stops. And they're on hard compound tyres. So at the end of the race, well, they'll be able to take it to the end of the race. So if anything goes wrong for any of the drivers up front, they're going to be able to take advantage. Spicer is going to be able to take advantage of that DRS on Alpha Gully. And he's going to look to retake the lead of the race. The Aston Martin. 25 points would be an incredible result for him. It means that he would be the championship leader. And he's just taken another step towards that elusive championship lead.
Yeah, obviously, that's going to go back and forth. Meanwhile, looking further back, I think Epic Vale might be thinking about a lunge on the other Aston Martin. Daddlepad into 4. No. Thinks better of it. Daddlepad actually going very deep on the brakes just to cover from the Haas. But yeah, Epic Vale, he's slowly settling into this Grand Prix, and he does look to have a bit more pace. if he gets past Daddlepad, if he can get past Crowding. I would say if he gets past Trey, but Trey has actually been a man on a mission over the past lap or two. He's got the gap under 2 seconds, so but surely, as he gets a little bit of a wobble in the middle of the S's, he might have a chance of bridging that gap. And Technical will get his wish of, Spies and Alpha Gully being in a massive train instead of, all alone out in front under very little and minimal risk. Hello. First pit stop time. Alpha Gully, end of lap 9, into the pit lane. He's had enough of that, mediums. What's it going to be then for the Kick Sauber? We'll see what tyre he's about to put on. Is it a set of hards? Could be another set of mediums. We're about to find out it is a set of hards for Alpha Gully. It'll be interesting to see now as we got battling further back. Epic Vel is looking to dispatch of Daddlepad, and he's done just that through turns 1, 2, and 3. Great move from Epic Vel once again. He's started the charge as here comes a Manlike also trying to dispatch of Daddlepad. He's going to go around the outside of turn number 4 and have the inside for 5. And the Tier 4 championship leader is up to P5. What is happening?
I have no idea. I mean, the Williams is putting on an absolute demonstration of his abilities. The confidence that he's got at the moment is second to none, and he's just finding that time that the others aren't. Daddlepad is behind Manlike. He was trying to prepare himself for an overtake. He's been unable to. What's happened to Bobberts though? He's had problems in the S. He comes out of it in P14 all the way down. But yeah, the McLaren really not having a good time. Spies are into the pits. So maybe it was a regulation stop from the and Phil. Yeah, a lot of them are coming into the pits. The Tri-RT he takes the lead of the race. Daddlepad and Gio stay out, but Spies are crowding. Epic Vale, Manlike, all of them are coming into the pits. All of them switching to the hard compound tyres.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be a solid guess to say that's probably going to be to the end of the Grand Prix. Actually, yeah, where's Alpha Gully in all this? He is well clear of everybody else. Has he just about broken DRS? That is the question. He's got about 8/10 in his back pocket. And now this lap is going to be very crucial indeed. Because if Alpha Gully's made that undercut work like he intended, he might just be able to have a go at breaking that DRS. Although, I think with the use of a bit of ERS, and overtake in particular, Spies is going to be able to keep hold of the back of the Kick Sauber. And crowding Epic Vale. That's a bit of time, lost about half a second amongst all the pit stops, although it was Trey that was in provisional P3. So it'll be interesting where Trey comes out in all this, considering he's gone 2 laps longer than Alpha Gully, and 1 lap further than crowding and Epic Vale, assuming he comes in this time around, which he does. So race leader, not Epic Vale, the Trey RT into the pit lane. Nalgeo follows him in. In fact, no, Nalgeo doesn't follow. It's Daddlepad that follows. Obviously, Minotaur's going to continue. Talentless continues. And now it's just the rest of the hard runners continuing. So Nalgeo and Talentless, the 2 Alpines, staying out a bit longer on those medium compound tyres.
I mean, it's clearly a strategy that's been discussed between the 2 Alpines. The fact that they've both done it. They're the only ones to do it as Daddlepad comes out of the pits. He's behind Manlike. He's almost falling into the clutches of IRT Phil behind him. And Phil will have the DRS across the next detection zone. Daddlepad 2.1 seconds down. So the overcut, not the strategy, well, at the moment that it's being demonstrated. I mean, 1 lap is not much difference in terms of tyre wear. And so, yeah, I really don't think the overcut was the one. The Tri-RT, though, he's been able to stay within the DRS of Epic Vale and crowding. There was a sizable gap between Vale and crowding. That has come down in the last lap. It was 1.5 seconds, I want to say. Now it's 0.3. So the McLaren has closed in. And maybe those hards are going to work so much better for him. We've seen over the last few years a shift where the quickest tyre is not necessarily the softest one. Sometimes some cars some setups activate the tyres a whole lot better. And for crowding, this could be his opportunity. Niall Gio comes in now. I'm expecting him to be behind Daddlepad, behind Phil even, down in P14. We'll have to see as the Alpine comes out. Talentless stays out, and he continues to fight for the lead of the race with Minnesota. One, not necessarily, because I think there was enough of a gap between himself and Gio. Yeah, he does come out behind Phil who is side by side with the Tree RT. Or Daddlepad even. Daddlepad, he's not taking the advantage that he probably needed to with those younger hard compound tyres. Fighting with the RB is not going to help the Aston Martin's case. And, well, at the moment, he's looking in the worst position of those who are fighting for the lead just a few laps ago.
Yeah, Daddlepad, he's really dropped, hasn't he? That's the Aston Martin. You know, he was amongst it, wasn't he? And now he's got caught behind Phil, who went very early, in fact, onto those hard command tyres, been undercut, and now has completely lost touch with the train. El Gio as well, also a second behind Daddlepad. Yeah, it's interesting that Daddlepad has lost a lot of time, you know, in comparison to those that he was battling with, you know, man like the Trey, Epic Vale, Crowding. You know, they've all gapped him. They've all got a couple seconds in their back pocket over Daddlepad. So Daddlepad, he's got work to do. It's not impossible, but he's definitely got work to do if he wants to try and reel in that gap back towards that train for the podium. Here comes Spicer once again on Alpha Gully, DRS. And yeah, ease as you like. The Aston Martin moves back into an effective race lead. Epic Vale's also got back past Crowding, and Manlike also looking very threatening, you could say, in the background. Maybe he's going to make a move on Crowding into fourth. No, doesn't want to. Over ERS into none. And yeah, it's in just behind the McLaren for the time being. As lap 14 of 36, about a third of the way through, give or take. And yeah, still, it's Spies and Alpha Gully have made good use of the gap they made at the start of the Grand Prix. And yeah, they'll like to keep it. Well, Spies would definitely like to keep it that way. You know, just having him and Alpha Gully ballot out for race victory. But with Epic Vale now at the front of this train, that gap might start to come down. It already was with Trey there. It was coming down massively towards the end of the stint. Maybe Trey had a bit more tyre left compared to the front two, which might actually explain why that gap came down quite so rapidly towards the end of that medium stint. So yeah, and yeah, there you go. Calvin copy, and we'll see it for pretty much the rest of the Grand Prix, as we've already said. Alpha Gully and Spies at swap places. Epic Vale has been swamped down the main pit straight. He's going to try and fight with Manlike. He doesn't want to get too involved though. And Manlike, tier number 4, driver's championship leader, has just put one on the tier 2 championship contender. Now it's going to allow Trey to also make a move on Epic Vale. It's been a disastrous couple of corners for Epic Vale in the Haas. He was leading this train, he was a provisional P3, and now he's all the way back down to P6, so he stuffs it back up the inside of the Trey into turn number 6, forcing him out of road. Harsh, but probably fair from the Haas driver, and he keeps hold of at least a provisional P5.
Yeah, I mean, he's 8/10 behind Manlike. If he was fighting any harder, then he would have probably been out of the DRS. But yeah, Trey and Epic Vale need to work together here to get back up to Crowding and Manlike. The gap between Crowding and Spicer has increased once again quite significantly to 2.5 seconds at the end of this lap. And Alpha Gully is closing in on traffic ahead of him. This could be a crucial time in this Grand Prix for a lot of the drivers, but especially Spicer and Gully. They're fighting. The drivers ahead are fighting for the race lead. There's actually There's a 5-car battle for the race lead, to be fair to them.
Yeah, the Hardtire
has the lead. Hardman and Minotaur, they were side by side as they head through turn 1. And Talentless just behind, Rapids just behind. Spicer is now within DRS range of the Red Bull. So this is about to get spicy.
Yeah, just a bit. This could be, you know, the podium train, if you will. Crowding, Manlike, Epic Vale. This is their potentially a very big chance to try and reel in Spies and Alpha Gully, especially as they have caught them at the worst possible time. In the middle sector is where they've caught them. Rappy's all out of shape through the middle sector. That's going to slow Spies down even more. And oh my goodness me, this is going to be chaotic. Spies is going to have to weave his way through the lot of them. He's got the overtake on. He's going right around the outside of the lot. That's a phenomenal move from what is now our championship leader. Spies. Oh, he's hit the back though. He's hit the back of Tardless. Was there any front wing coming off the Aston Martin? I do not know. But he's absolutely sliced his way through the hard tire. He's going to have DRS and the ERS left the slipstream to make the move on Tatless. Alpha Gully's going to have to get a move on here. He does get past Minotaur. He'll have stuff there, Liam Hardman in the way. Here comes Spicer then. He gets past Talers. It's going to go for a lunge on Alex Lamas into turn 1. Yes, he is. And Spicer, in the space of about half a lap, was completely and utterly dispatched of the hard tyre runners. And he's leading the Mexican Grand Prix. And he's absolutely left Alpha Gully in the dust. And he's still got to deal with this hard tyre train. He'll lose time hand over fist. That might just be a move that has won Spice this Grand Prix potentially.
And it's not
it could be
just
that
the
big.
Grand Prix. It could be that has pretty much won him at least won him the championship lead, thrown himself back into the championship, because Alpha Gully, remember, is Tech Brawl's teammate. Tech Brawl is the championship leader, and Alpha Gully was trying to fight Spicer as hard as he possibly could to make him drop down the order. But now, with such a move, he could have pretty much sealed himself the championship lead. Alpha Gully drops down. He's dropped down behind these drivers. Alex Lamas and Talentless at the moment are in the Sauber's way. And even if he gets ahead of them, there's 2.3 seconds to gain to the Aston Martin. And with how matched they've been over the last couple of laps, or over the last 18 laps even, over the last half a Grand Prix, I don't think Alpha Gully is going to catch this gap up that easily. So that is an absolutely vital moment in this championship. There's Nassim retires from the session. There's yellow flags in Sector 3 because of it. But Manlike is the next driver up to get sliced through this field. He gets past Talentless. Liam Hardman, his teammate, is ahead of him. You'd think that his teammate's going to let him through, but no such luck. Crowding gets past Talentless. Almost looks at the outside line of Manlike as well, who's still stuck behind his teammate. The S's is where he's going to have to make a move if he wants to continue to fight Alpha Gully. That was his opportunity, but I'd say at this point, it's opportunity missed for the Williams. He comes out of the S's, gets ahead of Liam Hardman, gets ahead of Alex Lamas, but 1.7 seconds is now the gap between himself and Alpha Gully. It could have been under a second, but the opportunity well and truly squandered.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got time, and, you know, there's still about, well, there's exactly half this race left for Manlike, and to be honest, it's still been an incredible Grand Prix for the Tier 4 Championship leader. Meanwhile, further back, Liam Harmon and Alex Lamas going to continue to do battle. Crowley's going to want to get involved, and, well, indeed he does. He used the overtake. I think he's going to go for a lunge on Manlike into turn 1. Yes, he is. He is up the inside. It's the McLaren, and that's going to help them in chasing Alpha Gully down. But Crowning has got the move done. He has managed to get up the inside of Manlike. So Crowning's back up to P3. Epic Vale's now trying to dispatch of the hard tire run. He's also got past Trey in the process. Is he going to go for a lunge on Manlike into 4? No, he's not. Trey around the outside, though. Can he get that move done? That's going to be incredible if he does. Not quite. Epic Vale has the traction on the outside line. And also, Liam Hardman's managed to pull it up the inside of Trey as well into turn 6. So Trey getting a little bit beaten up through turn 6 on a couple of occasions. But he's still surviving. But meanwhile, back up the front, Spicer, 2-second advantage. Now he's got clean air. No one around him. He just needs to keep this pace up for the remainder of this race. And he can potentially come out of Mexico City with the championship lead. Unbelievable. Still just under half a race to go, though, so a lot can change in that amount of time.
Yeah, and I mean, well, he could make a minimal mistake, which will allow the DRS back for Alpha Gully. Maybe even at some point, Crowding and Manlike will fight their way back into it. They both have the DRS, so they have an advantage. Epic Vale getting involved as well with the inside line on Crowding. He makes his way through the Trialty, trying to do the same, not quite able to. Manlike on the exit. He will have the DRS, so the leader of this battle will remain the leader of this battle. But these 4 drivers will have the DRS. The DRS is absolutely crucial around Mexico City. And so we could see them catch up to Alpha Gully. We could see them sweep up the Kick Sauber and fight their way towards Spicer. They have to work together, though, in order to do just that. There's a spinner. I believe that was Alex Lamas in the second sector. He's gotten going again. P11 is where he stands, but surely he, Talentless, and Hardman have to come into the pits at some point soon. Niall Gio, in the meantime, he just hasn't been able to keep up that pace that he had in that first stint. He gets past his teammate heading into Sector 3. And, well, P9 is his. It's provisionally P8 if Liam Hardman is to come in at some point soon. But the main battle now has split off into 3rd to 6th. Man like Epic Veil, BRT Crowding, and the TRT. They're all vying for a podium position.
Yeah, and well, there we go then. Epic Veil, it's very tight. Kind of maybe just takes Man Like's breaking point ever so slightly. But Epic Veil up to P3. Goes the other championship protagonist in this race. It'll still be a good result. It'll still be 15 points gained on Tech Brawl. And the gap will come down to 10 points to Tech Brawl. He'll lose a bit to Spicer. In fact, he'll lose more than a bit to Spicer. That gap will be 12. It'll be 12 points to championship leader Spicer if things were to finish as they are. So it's still, wouldn't be the end of the world. It's still points gained. He's still reeled in that gap. That gap to whoever the championship leader is will have come down if you're Epic Veil. And, a podium is still a good result. He doesn't want to, chuck it up the road, trying to, chase time or find time that isn't there in a desperation to maybe get hold of P2 or even a race victory. He's just got to, almost run his own race and get the best possible result he can from the current situation. Here comes Manlike then. It's been a phenomenal drive for the Williams, and he's back up into P3 as he crowd. He's also going to look to get past the Haas driver as well. Nothing doing for the McLaren on this occasion. In fact, he's going to have a run on the exit of turn 3. He'll have the DRS. He'll use a bit of overtake just to make sure, just to get the move done. And crowding also dispatches of Epic Veil here on lap 22 of 36. Just around, I'd say, a third of this Grand Prix remaining. About time for a safety car, don't you think? Just to spice it all up.
Oh, no, absolutely. I would not complain at all. If there was a safety car at this point, it would certainly help. It would certainly help spice things up, although Alpha Gully is trying to spice things up. He is gaining on Spicer ever so slightly. 1.5 seconds just a couple of laps ago. It was 1.9. So 4/10 has been gained as Spicer presumably conserves. But he doesn't want to conserve too much. If he allows Alpha Gully into the DRS, regardless of the ERS levels of any of the drivers, Spicer he'll rue that fact, because the DRS is so much more powerful than the ERS here. And so he really does not want to let him within that 1 second range. Man, like the gap hasn't come down as much as they would have liked it to. Crowding looks to the inside. So does the TRT. They're 2x2 as they head through the first corner. But man, like, they all follow out in formation, just like it was out of the final corner. Crowding, Epic Veil. Veil goes for a move. Veil goes for a move. What? He's trying to hold it around the outside of Crowding. That was an absolutely insane move. 3/10 back, a car length and a half back, and he's still trying to fight. Staying on the track somehow is the Haas. And Crowding, he sacrifices the position. He doesn't want to lose too much time fighting in the S's, but they've only just stayed within the DRS range of Manlike. Actually, I couldn't quite tell if they had. I think Epic Veil was about 0.98 seconds behind Manlike. They need to be under 1 second behind, and he'll have it down the main straight just about. Once again, he's actually dropped out of it as they exit the final corner, but he had just enough to stay in it. This is where the too long straights is going to play a factor. Epic Veil was 1.034 seconds behind. I said earlier that he was able to gain 8/10. He's gained 6 in that first straight. The second straight, he's 5/10 behind. He goes into it 5/10 behind. The DRS is going to be open. It's a smaller DRS zone, so he's just going to look to maintain that position behind. TRT, though, not quite got the same ambition. He wants to get past Crowding soon, and although he did have a dummy move to the inside, he's trying to force a mistake from the McLaren. He's just going to stay behind in P6, last in this battle for now. But they are losing time once again to Alpha Gully, who is demonstrating some supreme pace. 1.3 seconds now to Spicer. He's closing, and this could get very interesting.
Yeah, about 12 laps to go, Kieran. Makes all you say that Alpha Gully sideways through turn number 12. That's going to cost him a couple tenths, and indeed it has the gap back up to around 1.6, 1.7 between the two of them. Spicer also has the advantage of the ERS as well. Oh, that's going to be a big factor. Crowding. 3-second penalty for track limits. It's probably the one thing I'm surprised we actually haven't mentioned that track limits. Mexico, notorious for its track limits and time penalties. And yeah, well, you can see with the sheer amount we already have, you know, throughout the grid. Crowding, Daddlepad, Phil, Talentless, Liam Hardman just picks up another one for good measure. Rappy, Hardman, and Alex Lamas as well. You know, all with time penalties. Trey doing a bit of weaving again. And I remember I saw him do a little bit almost in disgust, maybe the move Epic Veil put on him into this corner coming up, turn 6. I'm not sure if there was another move put on Trey into turns 1, 2, and 3 from Crowding. Meanwhile, towards the front, it's 1.3 seconds. He's gaining. He is gaining his Alpha Gully. And we could well be set for a dogfight, a 1v1 for race victory. I did say a safety car would spice things up. It is looking quite overcast. You don't think we've got rain on the way, do you?
Oh, well, I mean...
Scrap that. We do. It is raining. It is raining. There's spots of rain. Laps 25 and 36. It is raining in Mexico City. We have got a bit of a late bit of spice in this Grand Prix. There's drops of rain on the circuit with 10 laps to go. Is it going to chuck it out hard enough to put on a set of inters? Oh my goodness me, this race has just come to life again. Epic Veil up the inside and man like into one. He skates through turn 1. It's going to be like dancing on ice here on lap 26 and 36 as they're going to have to struggle to the pit lane to desperately try and get herself the intermediate tyres on. And intermediates are already going on further down the field. Phil, Bobbert, Talentless, Minotaur, all on a set of intermediate tyres. It is raining here in Mexico City, and this race has just burst into life once again.
And it's raining really hard, actually, considering it only started raining just a lap ago. You can already see the rain coming up on the cameras. You can see the rain on the ground, and DRS has been disabled. Presumably, that was the last stretch of DRS that they're going to get in this race. Spies are running wide, Alpha Gully running even wider, and they're just slipping their way around this Mexico City circuit. Surely they're going to come in this lap. Alpha Gully's really struggling. He's clearly set himself up for the dry conditions, and he's going to come out, he's going to come in even to the pit lane. The top two are coming in. Epic Veil is as well. They're all coming in. They'd be mad not to. So yeah, they're all coming in for the intermediate tyres. Spicer is going to get the jump on Alpha Gully. Daddlepad with 10 seconds worth of penalties. He's actually decided to retire, probably as a result of that. Because, well, that's so costly in a tier where they are all so close. But Spicer out of the pit lane in the lead. How much of a lead, though, is it? It's even more than it was before. 3 tenths is what he's gained in that pit lane. And, well, Alpha Gully's gained even more on Epic Veil. It's 4.3 behind. So that could have actually killed the racing off. But it certainly hasn't killed the racing off for third place. Man, like all over the back of Epic Veil now, looking for that move.
Yeah, Spicer. Yeah, I mean, what this rain will do, obviously DRS being disabled, Alpha Gully isn't really as close as he once looked. And it also depends, you know, who's more comfortable in these conditions, who set that car up. Maybe not necessarily for these conditions, but just naturally, the direction they went with setup, whose car's going to suit more, and it looks like Alpha Gully has not got a car underneath him that suits these wet conditions, because he went miles off as he approached the S's. Maybe not miles, maybe a bit harsh. But still, the car not really under full control, and Spicer, potentially, well, he's under 10 laps away from taking the championship lead. I did not expect to be, I mean, again, I've said that, I say a lot of things multiple times I'm noticing in this Grand Prix. Either way, did not expect to be saying Spicer is, you know, only so many laps away from coming out of this race as championship leader. Meanwhile, it looks like it is now just going to be a battle for the podium. I don't think they're going to be reeling in unless we get a safety car. They're They're not going to reel in Alpha Gully, and I don't think Alpha Gully, well, we'll give him time. Still got a few laps to get used to these wet conditions. Does the Kick Sauber and everyone else, so they don't, well, one, don't throw it down the road, but yeah, so they can get used to them and get used to the grip levels, and maybe after that we'll see Alpha Gully maybe beginning to reel in Spies, but it does look like that gap's only going one way, and that's up and extending.
Yeah, and I think, I think Spicer will be taking the championship lead unless he makes a mistake in the next 8 laps, because although you seem desperate for that safety car, I find it unlikely at this point that one's going to come out. I don't think we've seen actually any big mistakes from any drivers, any spins or anything like that. All the retirements have just been drivers who've given up on their races. We haven't had any crashes at all. I know Mexico City is an expansive circuit, but especially through the S's, it's difficult not to lose the back end. They may suffer from a lack of grip through the S's in the next, over the next 8 laps, over the last part of this race. And so, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. One moment can completely turn this race on its head. One moment from anybody really could completely turn this race on its head, even if it was like Rapids, who's 30 seconds behind. If he's able to, if he spins out, if he crashes out, causes a safety car, that would be a huge game changer. The Trio team making it past crowding into P5. They're splitting off into 2 separate partnerships, Epic Vale and Manlike. They just seem to have the measure in these wet conditions over the Trio and crowding.
Yeah, for the time being, Manlike thought about a move with Epic Vale. I'm not quite sure what happened, but they got very close between the pair of them on the main pit straight. Meanwhile, you said, we thought Spies was going to win this race. That gap's just come down to 1.8. Alpha Gully is going for it right now in these wet conditions. Got the gap under 2 seconds, and this race might not be over just yet. We're about to approach lap 30 of 36. The gap's about 1.7, 1.6 between the top 2. Rapids does retire, but in pit lanes, that's not going to bring out a safety car or anything like that. Nevertheless, we might not need one. 1.5 is the gap. He's closing in his Alpha Gully. Oh my goodness me, it's not over yet, is it?
Oh no, it's definitely not over. And anything could happen in this race now, because the Triati as well has caught back up to Manlike. I've said that he's dropped too far behind. I've said that he's not going to catch up. And then he catches straight back up. So, commentator's curse could be beginning to be prevalent. And I'm hoping that for the race's sake, indeed it does. Because Spies are 1.3 seconds now ahead of Alpha Gully. Keep your eyes on that timing screen, because he's getting ever closer. Is the Sauber from taking that lead, that victory off of Spicer? But it'll be his first victory of the season. It's only his 3rd podium in the season as it stands, but his pace today has just been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the pole man. He was the only man in the 1 minute 12s was Alpha Gully, and he's looking to he's doing everything he possibly can to give Tech Brawl the biggest favour he possibly could hope for right now, and that is Alpha Gully taking over the lead of this Grand Prix, and it will make sure that Tech Brawl will keep the championship lead heading into Saudi Arabia. The gap is down to 1 second. It's closing in. It looks like when they chucked the intermediates on, it looked like Spicer was the more comfortable. We saw Alpha Gully entering the middle sector, and he just went wide. He went off the track. It just didn't look comfortable whatsoever. And now, a couple laps later, he's got used to the conditions, and now he is absolutely flying out there. Is the Kick Sauber, and he's absolutely charging on those intermediate tyres, and he's got the gap down from what was around 2.2, 2.3. Now, a couple laps later, it's down to under a second between your top 2, between NLR Spicer and Shazoo Alpha Gully. Meanwhile, Epic Vale's having to defend from Manlike. Goodness me, Manlike's going for a podium here in tier number 2. Where did he finish in tier number 4? P2 as well. Not P2 as well, but yeah, P2. So he's looking for back-to-back podiums here this week in Mexico. Is the Williams Epic Vale he needs to really keep hold of this podium, though, does Epic Veil, because if he ships any more points, that's not going to do his championship chances any good. He really does need this podium to maximise this Grand Prix for the Haas driver. And he's got, what will we have? Well, we're about to start lap 32, gap down to 7/10. Now we're about to see what the other thing with wet weather racing. It's a lot more difficult to pass if you're closer in speed. Even if you have a couple tenths in your back pocket, it does become tricky to overtake in these wet conditions. You do have to have a lot more time advantage over the car ahead. Meanwhile, Manlike, he is going, they're banging wheels down the pit straight. Epic Veil is going to try and hang it around the outside. Under braking, he's actually done very well. Has the Haas driver of Epic Veil, and he's managed to keep it in P number 3 for now, though. But here comes Manlike. He's got a better exit. He's got better traction, Dustin Williams. They're going to be side by side. Down on the run up to turn number 4. Who's going to be brave on the brakes? Manlike's going to try and brave it out around the outside. Nothing doing. Epic Veil later on the brakes and then parks it nicely in the middle of the chicane. And Epic Veil holds on to P3 for the time being. 4.5 laps to go here in Mexico. The gap's down to under half a second between the top two.
And yeah, I mean, Alpha Gully has really reinvented himself. We were talking about the fact that his wet weather setup wasn't good enough, but well, he's completely proven us wrong. Maybe he just wasn't very good at driving on the hards in intermediate conditions, which would be completely fair. You can pretty much see the reflections of the cars on the floor. That's how wet it has become. It's almost wet weather conditions as Manlike and Epic Veil side by side. Manlike sending it in the stadium section, but Epic Veil with the exit. The Haas gets ahead. Triarty goes through as Manlike has another wobble. He's gone into ghost mode and he's dropped behind the Mercedes, looking to get back ahead, but he doesn't quite have the momentum. He does, though, have enough momentum to try to fight with the Haas. Triarty goes through. He's up into third place. Epic Veil tries to cling on around the outside, and they both run wide. That could open the door to Manlike, but not if Triarty brakes like that, it wouldn't. Because Manlike may have sustained damage from that. If not, he's definitely sustained damage to his momentum, to his confidence. And he drops down to P5. The Triarty to the inside. That's an impossible move to try to make. Through goes Manlike as well. Epic Veil clinging to that inside line. Manlike with the switchback. And through goes the Williams. He's up into P3. It's still side by side between Epic Veil and Triarty. Epic Veil slotting in ahead of the Mercedes. But that is probably the move of the week. Well, it's certainly the move of this race. It's probably the move of the week from Manlike. A switchback from nowhere to get ahead in the chicane. The Williams holds on to P3. Epic Veil, Triarty, and maybe even Crowding will look to fight. Crowding, by the way, in the meantime, just stood and watched. He has a front row seat to this battle. And as we head on to lap 34, Manlike tries to hold on. Epic Veil takes a tighter line. And Alpha Gully, in the meantime, there's a move, maybe for the lead even. There's so much going on the track, it's hard to keep track of. Ironically, that's an unintentional pun there, but Alpha Gully did look to the inside, backing out on Spicer, because he knows that this isn't the lap that he wants to make that move. Lap 36 is going to be when he wants to take that lead. He just wants to keep the pressure on the Aston Martin, wants to remind him that the Alpha, or they're not the Alfa Romeo anymore, the Sauber. He wants to remind him that he's there, and he's doing just that. Heading through the S's. He's just going to stay in the rear view mirrors of the Aston Martin. It's going to be incredibly close for, well, any position in this top 6.
Yeah, Alpha, to be honest, he's got such a pace advantage. He might just go for it as soon as he possibly can. You know, especially with how difficult it is to re-overtake. If he gets past, he can probably pull a little bit of a gap and put Spicer out of sight, potentially, if he does want to get the move done. It's not like there's going to be a huge opportunity for Spicer to bite back, especially with the pace differential between the two. But, you know, we said it. It's one thing, I mean, it seems like the phrase, it's one thing catching is another thing passing, just exaggerates in these wet conditions. It becomes so difficult to make a move. Well, I say make a move. Manlike didn't get the memo, did he? Just absolutely switchbacked the life out of Trent Epic Veil. into turns 4 and 5 on the last lap, or 2 laps to go. But we've got less than 2 laps remaining here in this Mexican Grand Prix. It's been another classic here in tier number 2. All eyes, or most of the eyes, there'll be maybe a little bit of an eye to see if Epic Vale can nab that podium back off Manlike. It'll be heartbreaking for Manlike. The tier number 4 championship leader looking set for a podium in tier number 2. He's definitely made a statement. And that'll do, you know, his next season's tier placement the world of good if he can hold on. Otherwise, even if he doesn't hold on, he's made the statement already. He has delivered, has the Williams, and he's actually getting a bit of a gap, and he might be able to pull clear and put himself out of sight. But all eyes, now then, if Manlike is checking out, it's going to be on your leading 2. It's Spicer versus Alpha Gully in the rain. They'll be dancing in the rain here in Mexico City, here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. We will now start the last lap. Oh, Spicer got a huge tank slammer. Alpha Gully has to get out of the throttle. We start the last lap here in Mexico City. Overtake will be on for the pair of them. Alpha Gully, he has that slipstream. Does the kick Sauber? Will Spicer defend? No. He leaves the door open to the inside. They're side by side on the ramp to turn 1. Who's going to be brave on the brakes? Alpha Gully sends it in there. Spicer's looking for the switchback. He's not going to the outside. He'll have the inside for turn number 3. Oh, they lock wheels. Alpha Gully's off the road. He'll have another go. He'll have the slipstream once again, if he wants it, to try and make a move into turn number 4. Is he going for a lunge? No, he's not. Spicer has held on brilliantly for the time being, but he still has half a lap to defend from the kick Sauber. Now then, this is turn number 6. And with single file all the way through here, and probably through the S's, it's now who can get the run through the S's and maybe make a move into 12 or 13. Alpha Gully gets a snap-up oversteer. He's trying to force it to fit in these wet conditions. It is all out between the pair of them. Overtake on for the kick Sauber. He's not got the run he wanted. He's not going to be able to make a lunge into turn 12. He's way later on the brakes though. Can he make a move into 13? No, he's going to be too far back. Spicer defends into 13. And I think he will have it covered. Spicer, he started the race on the front row. He is going to win the Mexico Grand Prix. And he takes the championship lead here in Console Tier 2. Epic Vale's trying to make the move on Manlike. And I think Manlike has also managed to defend. So Manlike's going to get another podium this week in WR. It is on his debut in Tier 2. Manlike gets a podium. Epic Vale has to settle for P4. But what a finale that was, Cockcast.
I'm just wishing now that there was more laps in that race, because it just feels now still as though the race is not concluded. The results are not done, and I think, well, while Spicer deserved that race victory, Gully, with that pace in that final stint, he fully earned that move on Spicer, but he just left it a little bit too late. Maybe he could have gone for a move in the section there, completing now middle of sector 2, just where Manlike was able to make that move. Surely at some point the opportunity would have opened itself up if it was forced by the Sauber, but he just didn't quite hold on to it enough. He didn't quite fight it as hard as he possibly could. He tried to wait till late on. He tried to save it for that final lap, and that means that he probably missed opportunities to take that lead, and he will be ruining that now. His teammate, who's in the chat, will be furious that that's how that ended up. But at the end of the day, Spicer is your new championship leader. He holds the championship lead 2 points ahead of Tech Brawl. Epic Vale not having the weekend of dreams. 4th place from 6th isn't too bad, but he was toppled by the man on top of the Tier 4 championship at the moment. So he will know that he could have done better, but at the moment, it's just bygones. They will have to remain bygones. The Triarty in 5th, with Crowding in 6th, clinging onto them, but not looking to make that move, not able to make that move. And those 3 seconds would have killed that off in his mind. Then it's Predestinato, who went from 7th to 7th. Gio from 8th to 8th, but that doesn't sum up his entire race. Then it's FIL and Bobbert to round out the points. Then it's Talentless, Minotaur, and Hardman, the final finisher, with Rapids, Dadopad, Alex Lamas, Nassim, and Leonardo, those who retired. But the focus isn't on them it's on that top 6. That was one of the greatest final laps I've certainly ever covered, with, well, action going on for all of the podium spots, action going on for the majority of the point spots.
Yeah, exactly. Just a phenomenal race all round. I mean, it was almost refreshing to see just a straight up 1v1 dogfight for the win. We haven't really seen much of it. Just how powerful the DRS is. We usually see, and it's great to see, just massive trains for the victory. But we really got to see a proper all-out dogfight, and Spicer came up trumps. He just was able to hold on from a charging Alpha Gully, and as a result, he has taken the championship lead. That did not look like... It just didn't look possible. A week ago, it did look possible. We thought it was going backwards in this championship. We thought it was going to be Epic Vale. That was going to be, the man to, take it to Tech Brawl. But Spicer, with the weekend of his life, at the absolute perfect time to take his first victory since Australia in round 1, and he now, as a result, leads the WR Tier 2 Console Tier 2 Championship with 2 rounds remaining. Unbelievable. And also now, as a result, with Epic Vale finishing 4th, it's now 15 points. It's not 25 points, it's now 15 points, separating the top 3 with 2 rounds to go. It is an utterly classic season here in WR Console Tier 2 for Season 18.
I mean, you teed up this race as being an exciting and, well, essentially a crucial one for the championship. That was before you found out that Tech Brawl was not racing this weekend. So it's gotten ever tighter. There's 2 races to go in the season. Those races are Saudi Arabia and Japan. That's 2 races with more S's. We can't get enough of them. And, well, we've got not long to go until our champion is decided. But I'll hand it over to you, Leopard. Who do you think is going to come out on top? We'll get your predictions in early.
Oh gosh, 2 rounds to go. Who's gonna win it? Well, in my professional opinion, I would say Tech Brawl has looked the more secure, if that makes any sense. I think whilst Epic Vale's been the man in form over the past couple of rounds, and he's managed to get that gap down from what was about just over 40 points as we entered Monza a couple of weeks ago, down to now 15. There's almost a sense of, I don't know what it is. I think Tech Brawl is very complete, I would say. It feels. And I think we can. I feel like Tech Brawl's not going to make an error. I hope for his sake I haven't just jinxed him massively. If I have, I desperately apologise. But I don't think he's not gonna give it away unnecessarily, I don't think. It's just whether Epic Vale and Spicer win it. And it's that kind of feeling of it's gonna. Yeah, I don't think Tech Brawl's gonna go out and just lose the championship. If anything, he'll have been beaten by the better man. Epic Vale has been driving his heart out of late. And Spicer has just been Mr. Consistent all season and has just produced probably his race of the season right when it matters. Who's going to come out on top? I'm going to stick my neck out and say Epic Vale's going to do it. I think his momentum's going to just take him over the line. I could be wrong. I mean, I've got a 1 in 3 shot, haven't I? And it really is. It's literally. I mean, I would say toss of the coin, but there's 3 of them. But pick a number out of the hat, if you will, or pick a name out of the hat, if you will, and just you might be right, you might be wrong. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. I've stuck my neck out and said Epic Vale's momentum's going to take him over the line, and almost, I guess, heart, if you will, is going to take him over the line. But Spicer might have just had that momentum shift right when he needed it, there's so many variables, and at the end of the day, as commentators and those watching as neutrals or as spectators, it's exactly what you want to see. 15 points separating the top three. It's anybody's guess as to who's gonna claim the title. I guess I'll throw the question back to you, Cockhouse. Who do you think's gonna take it with 2 rounds to go?
Well, I actually think well, you've just teed up that you think that it will either be Tech Brawl or Epic Veil. I think it's going to be Spicer. I think the consistency that he's had is going to take him over the line because he's finished every race. Tech Brawl now has not finished every race. He's finished every race he's competed in, but also he finished 10th in Australia. So I think Spicer's consistency is just going to take him over the line. P7 being his worst result is just, I think that just demonstrates champion. It's the consistency that you need to hold, and now that he has the advantage, now that he's got the confidence of being the championship leader, that's where I can see him staying. But that, I think, is where we're going to end it off for tonight's broadcast. We've had some excellent battling from pretty much all the drivers. I teed it up at the start. I think I was correct in saying that. Everybody, and well, thank you very much to everybody for watching. I hope to be back next week. If I'm not, then, well, Max and Ace, they're the regular commentators. I'm presuming you'll have Leopard coming in as well. But
Nice.
Anyway, thank you for having me. I'll see you again, or we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.